Hello and welcome to Rappler Talk Entertainment. I'm Jello Gonzalez. Today we have Diane Ventura with us, a filmmaker who has won international acclaim over the past years with works such as Therapist and Awaken and 2021's award-winning Deine Farbe. Her next work is certain to make waves, Eraserheads Combo on the Run, a documentary about the legendary four-piece. Diane, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay. So you said that this will be your first and last documentary.
Yes.
Why is that? Sobrang hirap ba siyang ginawa?
Yeah, you know how sometimes you get into things because you have no preconceived notions of it. Like, parang I didn't know what it entailed to make a documentary. So I was like, okay, let's do it. You know, had I known then what I know now, I don't know. No, I would have done this. This is really like a passion project that I think I would have still pushed through. But I have to admit, it was really such an odyssey. I mean, I think I've mentioned multiple times that there's been 64 versions we've done. I mean, I've been doing only this the last 2 years. We've been doing it in I did it in 3 countries basically. Like we did the sound design in Germany. We were doing like the shooting here in the Philippines and did some during their US tour. So it's the Dolby Atmos in LA, color grading, everywhere. Like I've been trying. It's been physically, emotionally, and psychologically taxing.
Okay. Yeah, so why the sound design in Germany? I mean, you worked before on your film, Deine Farbe.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
why did you choose to do the sound design there?
Parang I just
Iba
wanted...
ba yung atmosphere doon, yung vibe?
No, I guess it's because like I've always wanted to sort of combine like, you know, different kinds of sensibilities, like, you know, combination of, you know, from us and also from everywhere that I've worked with. So parang I just wanted a fusion of that. And of course, like I made friends while shooting a film there, and they have the best equipment also. And I felt like I wanted to hear the music of the Eraserheads in a different sort of like, you know, like in the best optimum quality parang to honor their music. So I was like, and then also I wanted to get musicians that had like a different sort of genre para lang to provide like a different sort of music sa film. That would kind of support theirs. Kasi obviously the soundtrack is already Eraserheads.
I see. Yes. And you said like, you had like parang 30 reshoots, then 58 versions. I mean,
now
what is the scope? Talagang sobrang dami yung archival footage ba na you went through? And then tapos kasabay pa nun yung ongoing shoots. Talaga sinabayan mo sila sa tour nila, diba?
Yeah. So yeah, actually it's 64 versions. It's 64 versions. 64 it used to be an episode. It was originally intended to be an episodic documentary until like evolved into like a feature. I don't know. We did reshoots because like I said, like I wasn't prepared for documentaries. Like I thought, wala masyadong pre-production, yay. But you know, not having control exactly of what's going to come out of like the interviewees, parang, and then you you hear something that's, I mean, there's endless possibilities of where you can go narrative-wise, diba? And so like every time I hear a new piece of information that I feel might be relevant, I have to provide context for that, and then it's like a never-ending cycle. Na parang okay, that's a good path to take. Parang so I need to adjust or something like
parang
this.
The whole thing just branches out. Kasi sabi mo nga parang it's not like a scripted film, right? Like, nakaset na eh. But ito wala kang control naman sa interviewees mo. And then, okay yun, pwede idagdag yun.
Wild animal. And also the people that the interviewees dun sa film na to, like they're all brilliant people. So they always say something that's so profound and so interesting that I was like, I have to follow that.
Yeah, na parang ang sakit na, wait, I have to include it.
I have to include it.
You can't edit it out, diba?
That's why it's really important that I'm surrounded with also really talented people that can rein me in, na parang kind of guide me, na parang okay, relax, don't explore that. So
it was tough, and then you was just andun eh, the train was running, right? So how did you cope with it, like creatively? Like, okay, ganito pala yung takbo ng isang documentary, like What did you tell yourself? Okay, I can handle this by doing this.
I think I didn't even have the time to really sit down and say, I have to do it. Sometimes I just do it because I have to finish it. Like, I've already started it. I know, like I owe the people this film because I've already started telling them. So it's just like, basically taking it a day at a time. That's the only way I could keep my sanity. Because if I think about like the big picture, now I'm coming out with a documentary and it's going to be out, it's too overwhelming. So what I do is I take it a step at a time. Like every day there's like a new, and I focus on those things para I can survive.
How many hours of documentary footage did you shoot? Like thousands of hours?
We have 12 8-terabyte drives. Okay. So it's like hundreds of hours that we had to comb through to get to this. Yeah, it's very comprehensive.
I can't even imagine. But yeah, take us back. I mean, how did the project begin?
How did the project begin? Like, I would say this a lot. It wasn't premeditated. It was not like, oh, I'm going to make a film about the Eraserheads. Like, I didn't conceptualize this 10 years ago. It happened on the spot. I knew that they were going to do the reunion in 2022, which was, it was like something that's been pitched to us like even years before. 2017, 18, every year everybody wanted to have like a reunion. But 2022, I think like just the story of that particular moment in our, in Philippine time, in our society, it was, like the band was reuniting after 10 years of, being, I mean, not being
weird with each other.
Not 10 years of tension, like, and then the country coming out, the whole world coming out of the pandemic, a polarized nation coming from this like political elections. And so parang I knew there was a story there. It happened intuitively, like I have to shoot this. Pero
do you remember where you were when that light bulb moment came?
I think when I saw like, the preparation, like, or the stage, I think I was like, this needs to be documented. I think something important is happening, also. So, pero in retrospect, when I think about it, sometimes intuition happens, but it's actually like, there's something in you logically that already formulated the answer, pero it's just at that moment, dun siya nangyari. And for me, it was really about the timing of it. Like I said, yung conditions, I mean, during that time. And also, for me, as a filmmaker, like I felt ready. Because, I mean, obviously, I have a personal sort of association with the band. And I think it marked like a difficult period in my life. And so I'm someone that tends to not really like repress or not really look at things. That's how I survived. Pero until it got to a point where it wasn't healthy anymore. Because, you can't really repress things. So parang nagkaroon lang ng point na, okay, I'm ready to do this. And it's the right time. And then serendipitously.
So there's a personal aspect of
it. Okay. I felt like, okay, I'm prepared to do this. Like, can look back in the past. I have to confront it anyway for my own healing. Pero, serendipitously, I think there was also, like, it was also timing for the other guys because, they were at a point in their life also where, enough time and distance has happened for them to look back on this with a certain wisdom and maturity and reflection that was really pivotal for this film.
What do you think got them to that point? Na okay na sila? But was it just plain old maturity?
Plain old maturity. Possibly, I hope that, everybody like just gets to that point. Siguro experience. Or maybe there was something in them also that knew that there was something about this connection that they also need to revisit. And I was also incredibly lucky that I was able to, I was able to get this vulnerability. Like it was such a gift for me and for everyone that gets to see this film. Like it's not my film, it's their film. So it's like, it's having witnessed that, parang it really was cathartic. I think not just for me, but for
the members
for the band members too.
But so when you were interviewing them, did you feel that they were ready to be vulnerable to talk about those things? Was that their state of mind already when their interview started?
Somehow, somehow like parts of that were because I think they were just like also ready, like mentally ready also to look back, like enough time has passed. Pero part of it also was like, I guess the line of questioning was sort of relentless then.
Okay.
Na parang, okay, if they're going to try to deflect this, let's ask this question instead. What about this question? So baka there was also part of them, they were like, okay, sige.
Yeah, and I think Marcos was saying in the trailer also, we might die soon.
Cut the bullshit.
Let's cut the bullshit. So the trailer, speaking of the trailer, it says that it has the real story that remains untold. So tease us. How much don't we know about the story of the Eraserheads that will be revealed in this documentary?
This is difficult because I know. So
How much never before seen footage will be?
I think there's a lot of things that I think the strength of this film is that, it's not just about the never before seen footages, but it's also about I don't think the people have seen the band in this way before. Diba? Parang they're notorious for being, for being aloof and deflecting serious questions with their humor. Pero this time, they really sat down and allowed themselves to be vulnerable enough to reveal their truth. And I feel that I need to... I think that it was just so... I don't know. I think that vulnerability that they've revealed and the humanity as well, parang also gave me that permission to look into, to reflect also internally lang, myself. Kasi parang, these guys that are so powerful, parang, diba, we're conditioned where vulnerability is synonymous with weakness. Pero they were really very brave na they were like, and it was a strength. It is a strength. And I think if they watch the film, they'll realize, how much, how important it is to express.
Oh, they haven't seen the film yet?
They will see it. They will see it. I think the same time that people will see it. So Ellie has seen it, and also but just because they were there at the, like I know him also, so he has seen the film, and yeah.
Can you share anything about his reaction so far to the film? Yeah.
I think he was moved by it. Like he admitted that that it was moving for him to have watched it, and I think he cried or something, and I felt even that reaction of his was for me parang it already it was enough for me to think na okay, everything was not in vain, like all that, like even just one person, like, and especially him, diba, to have that kind of reaction, it was sort of
Do you think this film will change it will change people's understanding of the band?
Definitely. I think they'll see them in a way that they never have. And not just that, I think the perspective and wisdom or even like the humanity, the acknowledgement of the flaws. I think that's not, that's not just revealing of them, but I feel like films are personal in a way that when you see something there, like it allows you to access that same thing, as a viewer. At least that's what it did for me as a filmmaker. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Okay. While you were interviewing, Buddy, Marcos, and Raymond, like, were there things that surprised you? Oh, ito pala siya, parang ganon. While you were when you were doing the interviews with them.
I think the surprising thing I think I also mentioned this in the past. Like, for example, like there's a particular situation in the past.
Yeah.
It's the exact same situation that they've experienced, but they would have a different perspective of it, And it's not to say that one was right or one was wrong, but I think the inability back then, because we're young, to express it, parang allowed for conflict to happen. And I think that, that was like my biggest takeaway from it. Like, oh, if you only say what you're actually thinking, even just sharing it, because when I heard it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then I heard the other side, oh, that makes sense also.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if they
had
just,
nag-usap.
kung nag-usap sila, siguro, diba? Maybe, I don't know. But that could have
talking
turn
could
things
have
differently.
helped.
Talking helps. Period.
Okay, let's go back a little. I mean, part of the film also is just going through a lot of archival footage, right?
Yeah.
What was the experience like for you? I mean,
exhausting.
Di ba, parang you're looking at an old photo album. Di ba?
Yeah.
It's a mix of all these feelings.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I said exhausting. Exhausting because of like the, like the amount of, the extent of coverage. Pero I think it was nostalgic, and I think that's what the people will feel too. Parang they'll have access to such a private side of the guys, and they'll feel, I feel like after watching this film, like they'll feel parang, I don't know, it humanizes them. It parang, I'm sure it will resonate. So, because that's how I felt while I was, a lot of things like nostalgia, melancholy, because like, it was tied to things in the past also. But there was also, surprise and also pride. Na parang, wow, they brought such pride also to the country. Like, wow, like that gave me strength to continue it, because like people should know this, and not just the generation that was present when they were like they're at the height of it. They're still at the peak. They're still at their peak, and I think it's
okay. There was a part there actually when one of the members said, "We didn't take care of each other back then."
Yeah.
Can you shed some light on what was meant by that? Because the public perception, these really are a group of guys who are, college barkada. Parang ganun talaga yung dating.
Yeah.
But what was meant by that?
I think as with any relationship, pag nag-accumulate yung mga misunderstandings, like it really gets to a point, like, whether friendship, whether romantic involvement, if you don't like communicate things, it gets to a point where you can't even stand to be in the same room as them. So parang I feel na it was like a very reflective moment and a very mature one for Raymond to see himself in retrospectively na parang, at that time we didn't take care of each other, and we should have. I think that's what's being meant na parang, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not Raymond, but I could only glean from how he said it that like he wishes probably that, they took care of each other more. And for a man to say that, about friendship also, I think it's very touching.
Yeah, kasi, and one thing you'd understand din naman, parang if you're in your 20s, there's kind of a youthful ego, right?
Definitely.
So I bet you saw that again in the archival footage.
Yeah.
And, did you form new insights about ego when you were working on this film?
Of course. Yeah, I think so. Like, how ego sort of affects relationships, and how, because sometimes, of course, ego, like, it can also, it's not like a bad thing. I think sometimes it exists to teach us things also, or to allow our boundaries to be, set.
Yeah.
So I think to a certain extent, like it showed the, like how important it could be sometimes too, and that it shouldn't be considered like all bad. Although I don't know yung connotation of ego, but but also ego, too much of it is,
destructive.
It's detrimental also to relationships.
But you need the ego also to have an idea of yourself, where you stand. Right?
It's also good to sort of give you like a reflection of where you stand. Pero it can also be an impediment to connection, to honest communication and conversation, which is needed, and a lot of things could actually, especially at this day and age where, I think it's a very a big takeaway also for me, the ego aspect of it.
Yes.
There's a lot in the film,
Okay.
including myself maybe.
So you made parallels also with the country's own political divisions, diba? Why that framing?
Oof,
Yeah, if you want to discuss that further.
that's difficult
Yeah.
to, without revealing my political affiliations.
Yes.
No, I felt like it was an important topic at that time. At least that's how I saw things at that time. Actually, a lot of the people that I was working with, for example, in editing, they're like, no, focus on the band. Why? Because it's their story. But I didn't want this to be just like a story about the proverbial clash of egos. Like that's been done 300 times over, like multiple iterations of it. Like, what makes this different? Like, I didn't want it to be superficial. And I thought that was a good, like, angle, There's a bunch of guys that are, like, with the intention of, reuniting, almost like, with nostalgia and with our art, we're going to, make you forget for one night what your political affiliations are, what your, like, it's just unity through songs but...
It's almost like there's an element of fate.
Yeah, but on the other side, contradictory, like they were internally fractured themselves. So they needed healing as well. So I felt like at that time they were reflecting the sentiments of the people. Like, so it was like a sort of like how, I don't know, it's like, of course, like I don't know the answer of how to heal a nation, but maybe through the personal, it's you start there. You start
by seeing them like reunite, after what, like 2 decades of.
Yeah, I think that's probably like inspiring to see people that previously couldn't stand to be in the same room together, like just enjoy again and be together again. Kind of reminds you of like, what life could also, like the alternative of like what like not fighting could be.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
so, and I think like the period of when they came out in 2022 was like sort of pivotal to their career. Parang, it was not like a force, it was like, that really was like what happened. Like they came out in 1989 after, EDSA, and then, in 2022, they came back during that particular moment. It's also timing, and I think that was an important aspect that I could not...
That you had to tell.
I had to tell.
It was nice timing on their part. Yeah. Okay, if for example, you can go back to the 90s, carrying all the knowledge you have now with regards to the band, what would you tell each one of them?
Oof.
The Miss Universe question.
The Miss Universe question. Well, if I could go back and tell them, I'd tell them to... well, for me, I think things happen for a reason because it's much more powerful also to grow, because you grow from these conflicts, you grow from these like challenges and difficulties. So I think it was important for them to go through that, to get to this point in their life, because without having gone through that, there wouldn't be enlightenment. So, and evolution. So I don't know if I would change things because I feel like they're they're better than compared to before, not attesting to it. But I feel like, that's what I perceive, like at least from who they were before. They strive to get better.
Get better and
get better.
Tame the ego.
Yeah, and tame the ego. Of course, I tell them like, hey, maybe tame the ego a little bit, during the 90s. I think it's better for them to have experienced that and then realized, oh, shit, like what... That was who I was, and that doesn't work. And that kind of learning from a past is something that people need too, because it humbles them, it makes them have more empathy also for other people.
Going back to you, did you have your own personal healing, like working on this?
I think it was cathartic for me. Like I said, I felt like it was their vulnerability was a gift for me, and also I guess I think they were brave enough to really face the past, which is difficult. You think it's just easy to say like, oh yeah, confront your past, but it's not as easy as it is. But to see that, and also as I was doing the film and remembering all the things that I have tried so hard to forget, it brought back, the things that I actually needed to look into. It brought light to na parang, okay, history is important. This is not something that I should forget just because it's associated and repress just because it's associated to like a bad time, because you need to do that. That's the only way to get to a point of like I said, epiphany or enlightenment.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I'm enlightened. Okay. Just saying, disclaimer.
Let's finish with the lighter question.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, did you have music documentary inspirations for this film?
Ooh.
Is that a light question enough?
Yeah. No, I'm usually, the only documentaries I watch are the crime documentaries one. Like, I have like such tremendous respect for documentary filmmakers, especially after doing this. I'm like, how do they do this?
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. But like having said that, like I didn't have so much background on it, but I think maybe it also provided me like the freedom to move and, to approach things in a way that I felt was true to the story without having those references to sort of influence me. Oh, do it this way. So parang it was more like, okay, because you didn't have any preconceived notions of like how to do it or what to do, then you have that freedom to just do what you think you should
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. Just did you like if you did a documentary on a subject that wasn't as close to you, you think it would have been an easier process? Or hindi, mahirap din talaga.
Mahirap lang talaga.
Kasi talagang i-immerse mo pa din. Mahirap lang talaga yung
in and of itself, the making of a documentary is just difficult. But that's a really like insightful question. I don't know. I think having had I did this, I read it 2 years in the making. So I don't think I would have had that stamina and endurance if I wasn't personally invested in it. If I didn't fall in love with the story or, like have some passion for the themes in the film, I don't think I would have had the same endurance for it had I been. But I don't know. Maybe I would find, if it were a different project, I would also find those things that kind of ground me to see the finish line.
All right. Okay, perfect. Diane, please go ahead and invite them to watch the film on March 21, right?
Yes, yeah. March 21. So, hi guys. Eraserheads Combo on the Run will be out, nationwide, will be theatrically released only from March 21 to 23. So, yeah, if you have time, watch.
Okay. Diane, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure talking.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you want to continue the conversation, do download our Rappler Communities app where we can continue to talk about today's best new movies on the Pop Culture channel. I'm Jello Gonzalez, and this has been Rappler Talk. See you again another time.